welcome to the war room.
Hey, happy to be here. War ready. War ready.
So now that we have two Millers here, it proves to be a good conversation. If it's any indication, I've known Jason for a while and he's always got insights. I imagine you'll do the same. Given that you're a consultant and also a LinkedIn expert, which is important in terms of marketing. But before we go there, my favorite thing to do is ask, do you come from a family of entrepreneurs?
I do not. However, I come from a family of I hate to say it, but one of entrepreneurs. And so a lot of people in my family have attempted, but none of them really went all the way through with it, to be honest. And I think that was just, some of it's generational trauma. Some of it's not believing in yourself. Some of it's execution. I just don't really believe in excuses, to be honest. And that's my approach. But
that's awesome. That's something you and Jason share in common. It's a Miller thing. No excuses.
Miller thing. Come on now, Miller time, baby. Let's go.
Yes. Oh man. I love that you're so honest about it. And honestly, I could say the same in my own family. There's a lot of people that tried and there's still people that are still trying, I'll point to myself on that. So it's not for everybody. And there's mostly, in your opinion, because I have my thoughts on this. What do you think makes the difference? Is it just people who make excuses, or is there something else that makes a difference in being able to get over that, trying to being just, and give whatever you want. It's more like an open-ended curiosity.
I think honestly, the reason I pushed through in particular was more so a personal reason. I don't think it was execution, because I've seen some of my family members execute really well. But for me, it was, I went through a really traumatic experience. And I'll tell you more about that. But that experience essentially forced me to win. It wasn't like, okay, I got to do this. Let's keep going. Let's keep trying. It was more like something so traumatic happened that it forced me to no longer be able to work a 9-to-5, actually. So I wasn't able to work a 9-to-5. And when I was backed into that corner, I didn't have any other option. I wasn't getting hired or anything like that. So I think that's honestly, there needs to be a level of urgency for you to get to that next level.
Ah, man, you're so right. You're so right. You're so right. We just spoke to somebody yesterday who said something along the lines of, for like the first 2 years of really trying to do it, didn't take a single moment of peace to themselves. They just kept going. And, God bless, Jason's always reminding me like, come on, time is money, like pushing me, so I'm really grateful for that. And you're right. It does take that sense of urgency. And before I go any further, I want to make sure I pass the mic over to Jason and ask him, you got any thoughts, anything like that?
Well, you look at like the old saying, there's a reason why everybody isn't a CEO or a business owner or an entrepreneur, right? Because the shit's hard, right? That's why, right? And people try, but they hit the point where maybe they failed once and they're like, shit, I can't do this. I'm out, right?
Exactly.
Because in business, you better be willing to get your ass kicked about 8 or 9 times and then go, wow, I'm going to do this shit again.
Woo! Right? Man, you're triggering me right now, Jason. You're triggering me right now. I'm sitting here like, I'm feeling it in my body.
But it's the truth though, right? Yeah. It's just the truth. There's, Hollywood paints this nice picture of, the billionaire that made the deal and this, that, and the other. But what they didn't show is all the bullshit behind it, right? They didn't show any of that.
Right.
They just show the sexy part. But business ain't sexy. There ain't nothing sexy about it.
And you got to be okay with taking the punches too. Like it's okay that in the beginning, your acquisition process was shit, right? And you didn't have the right customers and all that's part of it. And you need to accept that. Most people just won't accept it, right?
Oh man,
totally. They don't accept it.
They don't.
They don't accept it, or they just try once, right? It's that one shot. I'm going to give this a try. It didn't work. Going back to work. Get my lunchbox here, and, head on back to work, right? So it's like that's not how business works. And if somebody's listening to this and you're starting a new business, know that now, because it's going to be hard, right? And it's going to be difficult. You're going to get kicked square in the whatever part you want to say. You're going to get kicked somewhere, more than once, and you're going to get run over a couple of times, and then backed over a few times, and then. But the people that make it are the ones that win. Oh, man. And they win big, right? They win big.
Yeah.
And God, I could just go on about stories about that.
So a sense of urgency is what set, at least you say in your own experience, and I would agree with that from even my own experience, that a sense of urgency makes a big difference in your ability, regardless of your execution level, although it helps to have good execution too. Mm-hmm. So those were the ingredients there. And so what was that like? Because now you were in a position where you had to decide for yourself, I've got to do something. So I imagine allapproach.com wasn't your first approach, right?
you slick over here. I see you. So the full story is I wanted to be a songwriter. I admit it. I wanted to be the next Kanye.
I get it.
And that's what I was doing. I was doing that since I was 11 years old. So I was really selling CDs in my school to my teachers. I would hustle lunch money. Like, I really was dedicated to it. And so doing that for 10 years since I was 11 years old. And then when I was around 21 in college, I decided, well, how do I monetize this? And so I actually literally Googled how to put your music on TV.
Yeah.
I know that sounds ridiculous, but that's exactly what I did. And this website came up. I didn't know if it was a legit website or a scam. And I just submitted my music. I paid $25 to have somebody I didn't know listen to my music and say they were going to put it on TV. Crazy enough, this story had a happy ending.
Oh, wow.
So somebody listened to that, and it was in a movie that was in theaters in 2015, and that movie grossed $42 million. And so to this day, I get paid every quarter in perpetuity a royalty check for my music that was used on that soundtrack.
Very nice. Yes. First of all, there's so many lessons to be learned from that. Number one, you Googled something. In an age where we can do that, 90% of people still don't do that. That's crazy to me. Second of all, you put your money where your mouth was. You were like, all right, I'm going to invest in this. Yeah. You took risk.
That's $25 I ever spent.
Yeah.
Was probably a lot of it was probably a lot of money then though, $25. It probably was a lot of
broke
money.
College kid. That was like 3-4 dinners,
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Geez, that's a case of ramen, man.
Yeah. No, that the Costco pack, that urgency, yet again, that willingness to invest and put money down to make something out of it, the willingness to do research and admit that you don't know, so let me find out. Yeah. All those are elements that are coming together. And there are entrepreneurs who still won't do that. They're getting by, but they still won't do that. They probably can get a lot further. So all that goes in. You get this to take off.
Mm-hmm.
How do you then pivot to
keep going through college, right? Graduate, studied communication studies. And then what happened is no one cared who I was, right? Because now I'm in the real world. No one cares that you were a songwriter. And so I'm trying to get a job in marketing or communications, and it's just not happening. And so I ended up being a security guard right after I graduated. I'm not gonna lie to you, that really, really, really lowered my ego. It made me very depressed. It made me feel like, I was having people throw stuff at me, swear at me. You know how security guards are treated. Like,
I actually do. I worked 3 security jobs in my life at the same time. Yeah. So I know exactly what that's like.
Really?
Yeah. Long story, but go on.
Crazy.
This is your story, not mine.
So this was in a Microsoft building, right? And so funny enough, right? I'm in the loading dock as a security guard and I'm applying to jobs. And then I get asked finally to work at this tech company. And it's like my first marketing job. I kill it there. And then I get recruited by Microsoft to work in their marketing department.
Wow.
So it's crazy because, yeah, like it wasn't the same exact people that I was working with when I was a security guard, but it was the same company. You just don't know who's paying attention, right? And the way I did my job as a security guard, I was the best security guard they had, period. Right. So I worked at Microsoft for a while, and then, you know, here comes another tribulation, right? So like Jason was saying, you got to be able to get back up. And the big thing that happened to me, that's part of my brand story and, you know, who I am now. When I was at Microsoft, I decided I want to go play some basketball, right? Because I'm stressed out. It's a high paying job and I'm stressed out. I go play some ball. I'm coming up the court. It's about 3 minutes in the game. And all of a sudden, I can't even I don't remember this because I actually lost my memory for like 3 days. But what happened to me is I'm coming up the court and my heart completely stopped when I was on the basketball court, and I was in a coma for 3 days.
No.
When I first woke up, the very first thought I had was, man, who were you trying to fool this whole time, man? You were never meant to be a corporate guy. Why didn't you just go for the entrepreneurship and actually try? Why are you trying to please other people? What's up with that, man? That was the very first thought I had. It wasn't, oh, I wonder what happened to me. Oh, where's my mom? It was
clarity,
urgency. I was like, dang, I've been side hustling with the music and this and that. I never actually tried to be a full-time entrepreneur ever in my life, even though I had been an entrepreneur technically for like 10 years. So I had to learn how to talk, walk again, all those things. And when I got out of the hospital, I decided I'm going to give myself 6 months to work at my Microsoft gig. So I went and worked. And, you know, insurance really helped because obviously surgery, all those things are really expensive if you don't have insurance, really expensive. And I walked away from my Microsoft job January of 2020. And here we are today.
Wow. So many things. I want to give the floor to Jason, though. I'm sure he's got a thing or two there.
It's an all-American dream story, really, right? Yeah. Of struggle and success and all these things. You look at a lot of entrepreneurs, many businesses are born out of necessity,
right?
Not necessarily because they had to, because they didn't have a choice. Right. So look at a lot of veterans. A lot of veterans don't go work somewhere else and they start their own business because they can't work for somebody else.
PTSD is too triggering.
Yeah. I'm one of them.
PTSD. I had to get over that too. So I shout out my veterans. I know what you're going through.
I can't work for somebody else. It's just, I just can't do it, you know? And so there's, you know, a great story here of, you know, have to, not necessarily want to. And you're a success story of it because there's plenty of failure stories, right?
And plus a lot of people, honestly, the success, the survival rate for cardiac arrest. So people that don't know, the cardiac arrest is a lot more severe than a heart attack, right? So everybody before they die, what happens is you go into cardiac arrest, everything. So whether you have cancer, diabetes, whatever it is, when your doctor says death is possible, right? That's what they're talking about, is cardiac arrest is possible. So most people do not survive that. And if you do, you have brain damage. And I have no brain damage.
Wow.
Well, that's just a higher power looking out for you.
Yeah.
That's all that is. Somebody decided you needed to stick around and do something.
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for opening up and sharing that. And it looks like you're now doing things with All Approach that have involved companies like USA Today, MTV, you know what I mean, Yahoo Finance. Tell me about NBC. Tell me about this. So All Approach, how did this get born? This is, I'm assuming, right after all this happened. And
Right.
what has that process been like?
Man, it's a beautiful process because through that process, you meet entrepreneurs like Jason, right? People who are doing it at a high level, who understand, where I am at currently. So I'm 28 currently. And the biggest thing for me is identifying who has the biggest problem right now, right? So then I can provide the best solution to them. And right now for me and where I'm at, and that could change in the future, but for me right now, the majority of people do not have what I call luxury LinkedIn profiles. And so the concept here is very simple. When you're walking down the street, you're turning your head when you see the Lamborghini, right? Yeah. You're going, I wonder what that guy does for a living, or I wonder what that woman does for a living. Nobody's turning their head for a minivan. But why does everybody's LinkedIn profile look like a minivan? What's up with that? It's like some 1990s WordPress. I don't even know. It's what's going on. So I saw a huge problem and was like, oh, I can fix that easy. I know what to do. Clean up that profile, clean up the headline, make the banner, match the profile picture, make the colors clean, all those things that seem so simple, yet every profile I go to, they don't have it.
Oh, that's big, man. You're right.
Right.
You're right.
And I was guilty of it too. I was sitting at my profile like, what's wrong with you, man?
I also imagine that a lot of what you developed being a songwriter, artist, composer, things of that nature, carried over into this field.
Absolutely.
I imagine.
Clientele too, right? So like you were mentioning, Telemundo, NFL, NBA, all of those were my songwriting clients. Right. So they've licensed my IP or my music, right? IP. They've licensed that in the past, and they also still pay me to this day, which means they're my clients. So that's an excellent way for folks trying to pivot. Add your clientele. Those are your clients, right? So they are under the All Approach empire, because those people helped me get to where I'm at today, and they have credentials that will help me brand myself as the authority or somebody with credibility.
Yes. Oh man, there's just so much to the way you approach this, and you can just see the hunger, the drive, the willingness to really step into a position as what they call it, leadership service. Where you're serving leaders,
right?
And through being a leader in serving, it's one of those, as Jason likes to call it, self-licking ice creams. You know what I mean?
I like that one.
And for me, I'm now curious, like what's your current goal with All Approach at these days?
My current goal right now is to fire myself in the next 6 months for my business. I'm very close. Everything is delegated at this point except sales. And I just hired somebody for appointment setting. So that's, we're right where we need to be.
Good. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Before we go any further, Jason, you have any thoughts or, things you want to say about that?
Yeah, I will tell you that the one thing, here's something you're missing, is really brand yourself as a thought leader, because you have that potential to do that. Your story supports that. And that's a wonderful thing, to be out there in the world, being a thought leader, and, quit driving around your
minivan.
Minivan, right.
Minivan with two spare tires, little donut tires on one side. Right? So, and drive a Cadillac.
Shout out to James. So, I have a conversation with him this week, actually. So he's going to help me with that.
Oh, Foo?
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Nice.
Yeah. So I took your advice, man. I'm a go-getter.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's good stuff. Yeah. And, but leader. You really do have the potential to be a great thought leader. And you just got to go get it. That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah. I definitely see it too, man. And I've interviewed like 1,000+ CEOs over the years, and not even counting the people I've actually helped start their own set of content. So for me, I can really see it in you, and I can genuinely say your story is not only a fascinating one, but an inspiring one.
Thank you.
I I know that anybody listening is like, yeah, I got to double down. I love doing these days, mostly because of how it makes me feel quite literally for the rest of the day, hearing the stories of people that have accomplished this. And our goal really is to hope to inspire others in the same light. There's no way I can sit here and feel this and then somebody else doesn't feel. It's like when a song hits, when you know. So on that note, there might be a young version of you out there, let's say, back when you were first in college and Googling and trying to write songs, and maybe I'll invest. All of that was great. And you did good. What would you say, knowing what you know now, to that kid about what he could add to the arsenal?
I would tell that kid, pain is just delayed joy.
Oh man. Okay.
That's
see why
deep.
you write songs. Yeah.
That's deep. You got to unpack that a little bit, just a little bit.
Of course. Of course. Man, I'm not gonna front. I was in a lot of pain, man. Just so many of us, I know so many of us think that we need to be in a certain position or have a certain bank account by a certain age, right? Or we make excuses. Oh, I'm an African American, so they're never going to respect me in business. Why even try? Right? There's so many different things, these stories we tell ourselves. And so we never even try. And that pain you're feeling, it's just delayed joy. So if you just push through a little bit, you're going to find something really beautiful on the other side.
Right on, man. Right
That's
on.
nice. That deserved just a spot of silence there for a second.
Yeah.
It's good. You're going to be an earth shake. You're going to be an earth shaker, brother.
Yeah, man. Yes.
Thank you.
And with that, two things, right? First, where do you prefer for people to reach you, Kevin? Like, where do you want them to get in contact with you? Is it allapproach.com? Is there a social channel you're more active on than others?
Of course. Allapproach.com is how you can find me. But LinkedIn is where I hang out. That's where all my people at. So come find me. Just Google Kevin Marcus Miller and pop right up.
There it is.
And yeah, I love to chat with you about your LinkedIn.
Right on. And with that, there's the grand finale, which is if you could have invited anybody here today, and literally anyone, your pick, who would you have loved to have had here and why?
I think I would have loved to have 11-year-old Kevin here with me today, but he is, but that 11-year-old Kevin needs to see this, because at that time, he didn't think this was really possible like that, And I think we all need to bring our 11-year-old self with us to these rooms, to war rooms, to places of transparency and transformation. So,
Man, I love it. First of all, I can see why you were a songwriter, number one.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, as somebody who knows, I know. And two, just thank you for bringing your heart and soul to this conversation. I feel like there's no one who can listen to this and walk away unfazed by it. It's by design.
Thank you.
Just something that people need to take in as a great reminder of not taking everything they have for granted. Right. Like for me, I have to truly appreciate that I get to do this with my time, and to a large degree, in part, thanks to Jason for convincing me that wherever I was before, it wasn't a place that could appreciate what was going on. And I just think there's this great moment on this episode to invite everyone to just truly take stock of how many amazing things they actually have in their lives, and to appreciate it. And through the power of your story, of understanding just how far any of us have come and how much we plan to accomplish even after that. Those are my thoughts. Jason?
Yeah, this was a true, truly, I would have to say, from a story standpoint, the best episode we've done out of over 100 episodes.
Yeah.
And connecting all of that, right? And if people can just step back sometimes and hang the ego up at the door, hang the laundry up at the door and all these things, and just like step back and just say something as simple as, right, I have a warm bed to sleep in tonight. Right? Or, gosh, my company's really doing fine. We had a bad day yesterday or bad month or whatever, but by God, we're still doing good. Right. And I think it's just reminding yourself of the struggles and, realizing too, you're not on an island.
Yeah.
There are other people out there that are there to help, support, do all these things. You just have to go find them. That's it. Make sure you find the right one. Careful who you
Got to
take
get the right Miller. Come on now.
Right. There you go. But no, it's truly been awesome having you on the show.
Thanks, Jason.
I always like to say, we have 168 hours in a week. And thank you for coming and downloading that to this audience. Because these are the things people need to hear, right? And because they're very sharp reminders to all of us to walk away from this conversation, go outside, go for a walk, go hug your kids, kiss your family, and say, hey guys, we got it pretty good, right? And as long as we do that, God, the world's our oyster. So appreciate you being here, brother.
Jason, Phillip, y'all the best. Thank you. This was awesome. I feel inspired. I feel
our
motivated.
pleasure. Our pleasure. Thanks for stopping by, man.
Appreciate you.
Cheers, brother.